First Contact Fiasco. The Valyrian Alliance had conquered 17 star systems without a single defeat. Their military doctrine was simple: overwhelm with superior technology, establish dominance quickly, and integrate the subjugated species into their ever-expanding empire. The process was clinical, efficient, and, according to High Commander Zextrol, beautifully boring. Target acquired, announced Navigation Officer Pelvix, her six-fingered hands dancing across the holographic interface. Coordinates locked for the Terminus Initiative. Zextrol floated in his gravity suspension chamber, 16 tentacles gently undulating as he reviewed the mission parameters. The Terminus Initiative was designed for planets with primitive civilizations, those that had achieved radio technology but hadn't yet developed interstellar travel. Quick subjugation, minimal resistance. Cross-reference confirmed, continued Pelvix. Planet designation X3742, located in the Orion spur of the Milky Way. Atmosphere, nitrogen-oxygen mix. Technology level, pre-warp. Military threat assessment, negligible. Excellent. Zextrol's voice reverberated through the command deck of the flagship Eternal Dominion. Deploy the standard intimidation protocol. I want this operation completed before the galactic fiscal quarter ends. The High Council is breathing down my spiracles about resource allocation. What the Valyrian Alliance failed to notice, despite their superior technology and celebrated bureaucratic thoroughness, was a simple clerical error. The coordinates they had locked onto were not for planet X3742, a peaceful agrarian world with minimal defenses. They were headed straight for planet E3742, better known to its inhabitants as Earth. In the Pentagon's Deep Space Monitoring Division, Captain Maria Chen stared at her screen with growing concern. Sir, we have anomalous readings from the Kuiper Belt. Multiple objects accelerating toward Earth at impossible speeds. General William Hayes leaned over her shoulder, coffee mud frozen halfway to his lips. Natural phenomena. Negative. Sir, the objects are changing course to avoid debris. They're under intelligent control. Hayes set down his mug. 25 years in military intelligence had taught him one thing. When the impossible happens, don't waste time denying it. How many objects are we talking about? Current count is... Chen's voice faltered. 73. Largest object approximately 3 kilometers in length. Hayes maintained his composure, though his knuckles whitened against the edge of the desk. Time to Earth orbit. At current acceleration, 17 hours, sir. Hayes nodded once. Get me the president. 16 hours and 43 minutes later, the Valyrian fleet achieved Earth orbit with textbook precision. Zextrol prepared to deliver the standard subjugation speech that had induced surrender on countless worlds. His communications officer patched into Earth's broadcast systems, overriding all frequencies with impressive technological efficiency. Inhabitants of planet X3742, Zextrol began majestically. Your world now belongs to the Valyrian Alliance. Resistance is... Excuse me, interrupted a polite female voice. This is Dr. Sophia Puddle from the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs. You appear to have the wrong address. This is planet Earth, designation E3742 in the standard galactic catalog. Zextrol froze, tentacles twitching in confusion. He muted the transmission. Pelvix, explain this discrepancy immediately. The navigation officer frantically checked her calculations. It appears there was a single-digit error in our navigation database, High Commander. This is indeed planet E3742, not X3742. And what precisely is the threat assessment for E3742? Zextrol's voice had dropped to a dangerous whisper. Pelvix activated the database query, then physically recoiled from her console. Sir, E3742 is flagged with a Class 4 isolation protocol. The species is described as dangerously unpredictable, technologically innovative beyond evolutionary expectations, and culturally incomprehensible. You've directed our entire fleet to a Class 4 isolation world. Zextral's skin shifted from its normal proud purple to a mortified gray. The High Council will have my respiratory sacs for this. Before Zextral could properly process this catastrophic error, his communications officer interrupted. Sir, we're receiving nearly 8 billion separate transmissions from the planet's surface. Their global information network is chaotic. Isolate official military and governmental communications only, ordered Zextral. That's just it, sir. I can't tell which are official. They're using countless different encryption protocols, and many unencrypted channels are discussing military strategy openly, but in ways that make no tactical sense. As if to demonstrate, the officer played a sample transmission. Yo, if aliens are listening, my COD squad could totally take you guys. We've been training for this since the Xbox 360 days. Zextral's confusion deepened. Is this some form of psychological warfare? Meanwhile, Earth's response to the alien fleet was anything but coordinated. In New York, the United Nations Security Council argued fiercely about diplomatic protocols for first contact. In Beijing, military commanders assessed defense capabilities. In Moscow, analysts attempted to decode Valyrian technology signatures. And on Twitter, now rebranded as X, hashtag alien invasion was trending alongside hashtag they're akin ugly and hashtag welcome space friends. The most unexpected development came from a 17-year-old girl in Seoul. Park Min-ji, cybersecurity prodigy and part-time hacktivist, had identified a vulnerability in the Valyrian communications system within 3 hours of their arrival. Their quantum encryption is impressive, she explained to her wide-eyed parents, but they're broadcasting on frequencies that interact with our satellite network in ways they didn't anticipate. I can piggyback signals onto their carrier wave. Min-ji uploaded a simple program that began broadcasting Earth's entertainment media directly into the Valyrian fleet's internal communication systems. Aboard the Eternal Dominion, chaos erupted as screens across the ship suddenly displayed humans engaging in bizarre activities. Dancing cats, cooking competitions, extreme sports fails, and passionate debates about whether pineapple belonged on pizza. What is this madness? Demanded Zextral. Are they trying to confuse us with cultural overload? Sir, reported the increasingly frazzled communications officer, I believe this is their entertainment. They produce these for pleasure, not military purposes. The Valyrian tactical specialists were particularly disturbed by footage from reality television shows where humans voluntarily ate disgusting substances, voted each other off islands, and married strangers they had just met. This species is completely irrational, concluded Chief Analyst Vortek. Their behavior patterns defy all known sociological models. As the Valyrian command structure attempted to formulate a response, Earth's governments were finally coordinating. The UN Security Council unanimously approved a novel approach. Rather than immediate military action, they would attempt to overwhelm the aliens with information overload. Every broadcasting station on Earth was instructed to transmit at full power. Scientific information, cultural programs, religious teachings, sports events, cooking shows, all directed at the alien fleet. President Eleanor Washington addressed the world. Citizens of Earth, we face an unprecedented moment in human history. While our military stands ready, we believe these visitors may have arrived with incomplete information about who we truly are. Before any shots are fired, let us show them humanity in all its contradictory, beautiful complexity. Back on the Eternal Dominion, Zextral was developing what humans would recognize as a migraine. They're bombarding us with data at an impossible rate. Is this some form of attack? Sir, reported the science officer, I believe they're trying to introduce themselves. All at once, their civilization appears to lack any centralized cultural authority. That's impossible, Zextral declared. No spacefaring species can achieve technological advancement without cultural uniformity. It defies evolutionary logic. Yet the evidence was incontrovertible. Earth's transmissions revealed a planet of staggering diversity, thousands of languages, countless religions, opposing political systems, and competing economic models, all somehow functioning together despite perpetual disagreement about virtually everything. Most disturbing to the Valyrians was humanity's relationship with fictional narratives. Humans spent enormous resources creating elaborate stories about things that never happened, then emotionally invested in these falsehoods as if they mattered. They've created thousands of fictional invasion scenarios, reported the increasingly disturbed cultural analyst. They'd been imagining this encounter for centuries, gaming out every possible response. So they were expecting us? Asks Sextrol. No, sir. They just imagine things constantly, for fun. And their imagined responses to us range from immediate surrender to improbable victories against overwhelming odds. Their entertainment media suggests they particularly enjoy the latter narrative. As the first day of alien contact stretched into its final hours, Sextrol made a decision that would forever change Valyrian military doctrine. Tactical retreat, he ordered. Maintain orbit but withdraw to minimum safe distance. I need time to reassess. What the High Commander couldn't possibly know was that humanity was just warming up. Humanity's counteroffensive. Dawn broke over the Valyrian fleet with no resolution in sight. Sextrol had spent the night cycle reviewing Earth's transmissions, searching for weaknesses in human psychology that might facilitate a smoother conquest. He found none. Instead, he discovered a species that thrived on challenges, adapted to setbacks, and seemed to gain strength from diversity that should, by all galactic standards, tear their civilization apart. Status report. He commanded as his senior officers assembled for the morning briefing. Science Officer Mevnar stepped forward, looking distinctly uncomfortable. Sir, we've detected unusual activity in Earth's oceans. Their naval vessels are moving into defensive formations, but they're also hosting concerts. Concerts. Sextrol's eye stalks twitched in confusion. Yes, sir. Musical performances on the decks of military vessels, with civilian attendance. Mevnar displayed footage of an aircraft carrier where a famous rock band performed while fighter jets took off behind them. This makes no tactical sense, muttered the Valyrian military strategist. They're exposing their defensive capabilities while simultaneously treating this as a cultural event. That's not all, sir, continued Mevnar. Their global information network, they call it the Internet, has exploded with creative content about us. They're producing memes at an alarming rate. The view screen displayed a series of images showing crude representations of Valyrian anatomy, with humorous captions like, "When you travel 37 light years, but forget to check Google Maps first," and "Tentacles out for the boys." They're mocking us. Sextrol's voice rose in disbelief. I believe, sir, ventured the cultural analyst, they're integrating us into their culture with remarkable speed. They're normalizing our existence through humor. On Earth, the initial panic had given way to something uniquely human, adaptive creativity. While military forces remained on high alert, civilians worldwide had embraced the situation with unexpected enthusiasm. In Times Square, thousands gathered for an impromptu First Contact festival, complete with hastily made alien costumes and signs reading "Honk if you come in peace" and "Free hugs for space friends." In India, Bollywood announced an emergency production of Pyar in the Stars, a romantic comedy featuring a human-alien love story. The script wasn't finished, but promotions had already begun. Japanese animation studios released concept art for 17 different anime series about the invasion, each with marketable characters based on blurry photographs of the Valyrian ships. Perhaps most concerning to the Valyrian High Command was the military response, or rather, the confusing blend of military readiness and diplomatic overtures. Fighter jets performed coordinated flybys of Valyrian ships, demonstrating impressive precision, while also skywriting "hello" in multiple languages. They're simultaneously preparing for war and a welcome party, observed Tactical Officer Jexpar with professional concern. "I can't determine if their jets are threatening us or entertaining us." The defining moment came when the United Nations, after hours of heated debate, approved a bold initiative proposed by the newly formed Department of Extraterrestrial Communication. Rather than traditional diplomacy, they would attempt what they called cultural immersion. Dr. Sophia Patel, who had first addressed the aliens, now led a team of anthropologists, linguists, and, unusually, comedians and chefs in crafting a comprehensive introduction to humanity. "We've prepared a data package," she announced during a direct transmission to the Valerian flagship. "This isn't formal diplomacy yet, just us saying hello properly. We figured since you came all this way, you might want to know who you're actually visiting." The data package uploaded to the Valerian fleet contained a staggering array of human knowledge, art, and history, scientific discoveries, mathematical proofs, architectural wonders, culinary traditions from every continent, music spanning centuries, and perhaps most importantly, an honest accounting of human conflicts, failures, and ongoing struggles. "We're not perfect," Dr. Patel explained in her introduction. "We fight amongst ourselves. We make terrible mistakes. But we learn, we grow, and we're really, really stubborn about surviving. Also, we make excellent cookies. Recipe included in Appendix C." Aboard the Eternal Dominion, Zextral and his officers watched in stunned silence as the human data package unfolded across their systems. It wasn't just the content that surprised them. It was the approach. No species they had encountered had ever begun first contact by admitting their flaws, while simultaneously celebrating them. "Their historical records indicate they've nearly destroyed themselves multiple times," noted the historical analyst. "Nuclear weapons, climate disasters, pandemics, yet they present these near extinctions as learning experiences. This approach defies standard psychological warfare models," added Chief Analyst Fortek. "They're displaying vulnerability and strength simultaneously." The final portion of the human transmission was perhaps the most unexpected, an invitation. "We've prepared a welcoming ceremony," explained Dr. Patel. "Nothing formal, just a chance to meet face-to-face, or face-to-tentacle, or whatever appropriate appendage configuration applies. We've selected a neutral location in international waters, with representatives from all major Earth nations present. We'll bring food, music, and an open mind. We hope you'll join us." Zextral's command room erupted in debate. Military advisors warned of a trap. Cultural specialists argued that understanding this baffling species required direct interaction. The communications officer simply threw up all four of her hands in exasperation. "Enough." Zextral's booming voice silenced the room. "I will consult directly with the High Council." The ensuing communication with Valerian High Command was the shortest in recorded history. "You led our conquest fleet to a Class 4 isolation world with no authorization," demanded High Counselor Nexvora, her holographic image flickering with rage. "There was a navigational error," began Zextral. "Retrieve your forces immediately. The conquest is cancelled. Do not engage with the humans. Do not accept their invitation. Do not consume their cookies. Return to Valerian space and prepare for disciplinary proceedings." But High Commander Zextral, after a lifetime of perfect obedience to Valerian protocol, made an unprecedented decision. "No," he replied simply. The High Counselor's image froze in shock. "Explain yourself immediately." "The humans have shown us something we've never encountered in 17 conquered systems," Zextral explained. "They're chaotic, disorganized, and wildly inefficient, yet they've achieved technological progress at rates that defy our models. Their cultural diversity should have destroyed them centuries ago, yet it appears to be the very source of their innovation." He gestured to the screens displaying Earth's transmissions. "They spend enormous resources creating art that serves no practical purpose. They deliberately expose themselves to opposing viewpoints. They question their own leaders constantly. By all our standards, their civilization should have collapsed. Instead, they're thriving. What are you suggesting? The High Counselor asked, voice dangerously quiet. I'm suggesting we have something to learn from them. The Valyrian Alliance has conquered 17 identical systems, homogeneous, predictable, and ultimately stagnant. Earth represents something new. 3 hours later, a single shuttle departed from the Eternal Dominion, carrying Zextrol and a small delegation of officers who had volunteered despite explicit career suicide. The Valyrian fleet remained in orbit, violating direct orders from the High Council for the first time in their 1,000-year history. The welcoming ceremony took place on a massive floating platform in the Pacific Ocean. Representatives from 195 nations stood side by side, traditional attire creating a kaleidoscope of human cultural expression. Musicians from every continent performed together in a cacophony that somehow, improbably, formed harmony. As Zextrol's shuttle touched down, Dr. Sophia Patel stepped forward with a simple ceramic cup. We thought about formal treaties and diplomatic protocols, she explained as the Valyrian delegation emerged cautiously from their craft. But we decided to start with something more fundamental. This is tea. Humans have been sharing it across cultural boundaries for thousands of years. It's how we begin conversations. Zextrol accepted the cup with a tentacle that could have crushed steel, yet handled the delicate ceramic with surprising gentleness. In 17 conquered star systems, he admitted, no one has ever offered us tea first. Dr. Patel smiled. That's humanity for you. We're full of surprises. And as the unlikely gathering of humans and aliens began their first genuine conversation, the Valyrian database entry for planet Earth was quietly updated with a new classification. Approach with caution and curiosity. Bring cookies. The Valyrian Alliance never attempted to conquer Earth. Instead, they established the galaxy's most unusual cultural exchange program. Valyrian military doctrine underwent its first revision in 5 centuries, adding a new protocol. Before any conquest, check the planet's name. Twice. And in a strange twist of galactic politics, Earth's chaotic, contradictory approach to civilization became its greatest defense. Other spacefaring species, monitoring the situation from afar, reached the same conclusion as the Valyrians. Earth was simply too weird to invade. Sometimes, being incomprehensible is the greatest superpower of all.